What is it that keeps us from finding God? And one of the biggest things is our self-identity. We identify ourselves as women. Men identify themselves as men. We identify ourselves as wives, as mothers. We identify ourselves with what we do. We identify ourselves with our personality. We identify ourselves with our habits. We identify ourselves with our defects. So all of this keeps us from finding God, because God is all of this, God is none of this, and God is beyond all definition and all identity. So one thing for us is to really try to get beyond identifying ourselves as women. Now, how can we do that? I mean, our soul resides in a body that is a female body. And our body has, certain needs. It has their cycles. The body has their hormones. How can we do this? And we all know the answer to that. It's in deep meditation. That is one of the reasons that we meditate, is just to go beyond our material identification and to get in touch with ourselves as souls. We know that the soul is neither female nor male. We know that the soul is both. It's the Shiva, it's the Shakti together. I love that representation of Shiva where he's half Shiva and half Parvati. What's that called? Yeah, it's a long one. What is it? Arda? Arda, Nari, Nateshwar, yeah. I mean, that's it. And when we look at our master, what do we see? We see that perfect balance, between the male and the female principles. So we want to come within ourselves to that inner harmony. We want to come to that balance within ourselves. And we find that, we touch that, we experience that in meditation, where we have no boundaries. We lose, what should I say, the limitation of the body. That's why we focus on the breath while we meditate, because the breath has no confines. It has no boundaries. And it's a wonderful technique to harmonize ourselves with the breath and to feel the breath's expansion. That's right on me. Is there any way to redirect it, or maybe shut it off and just live with fans? That would. Yeah, let's do that. No, I have, but I don't want anything. Thank you. Okay, good, and it's quieter too. I don't have to fight against that. So, nowadays, in the whole world, there's women fighting for equality. Yeah. And this is not a bad thing. On the other hand, where do we find equality? The true equality is discovering that the soul is united with the spirit. So it's not so much equality that we should be concerned with as unity, as joining ourselves to the greater whole. Because the more we fight for our rights as women, the more we identify ourselves as women. I'm not saying that the women who fight for equality are misguided. They're not. It's an important thing, historically, and this is a good moment for that. And I remember there was, in the last election in the United States, there was a woman running for president. You all remember her, Hillary Clinton. And an interviewer asked her, "What do you think about women's rights?" And she responded something like, "Well, I think more about human rights." She was very much chastised for that response. And I don't know at what level she really understood what it was that she was saying, but that was a very good answer, you know. I mean, what are our rights as human beings? You know? We have the right to God's unconditional love. You know? If we could open our hearts to accept that, you know. We have the right to serve God, each one in our own way, and not serve God as women, but serve God as children, you know, as belonging to Him, as we do our Guru Seva. Okay? We have the right to God's abundance, meaning abundance of health, you know, abundance of friendship, abundance of creativity, abundance of means, economic and other resources, because God is everything. God is abundance. And as His child, we have these rights. There will come a time, and perhaps not very soon, when human beings living on earth will stop identifying themselves with limited realities. Our planet is in much pain and much trouble because of these false and very limited identifications. It happens everywhere. You know, do you identify as a Hindu? Do you identify as a Christian? Do you identify as a Muslim? Do you identify as Indian? You know, so this push towards nationalism, you know, towards Hinduism, towards it's so painful, because India, of all countries, should know better. You know, I mean, from Sanatana Dharma, from, you know, the scriptures, you know, from that, you know, God doesn't look, God doesn't care. Swami would say when we go to meet God, He's not going to ask us what religion we followed or what country we were born in and what color our skin is. What does God care about? How much we love Him. Now, in a way, all souls are female. And we see this in the tradition of the Vaishnavism, in the path of Bhakti Yoga, where all souls are Radha, you know, where all souls are Sita. And because our essential relationship, you know, is with God as His lover, as His friend. Okay, so Swami would tell this story. Was it about Giribala? Or it might have been another woman saint who he met.
No, it was Mirabai, Rajputani princess.
No?
Which
No. Wait till you hear the story, and then you can tell me. Okay, it was a woman saint who was Naga sadhu. She wore no clothes. And Giribala didn't eat. Okay, maybe he didn't give a name, but anyway, she was in. And I don't know if this was a story from Master or from Swami, but people would come to her, you know, and say, "Why don't you put clothes on when men come?" And she said, "I don't see any men around here." And I'm sure that had many meanings for her. But one day, a saint came to see her, a realized saint. She put clothes on. She said, "This is a person. This is a man. This is somebody who knows, who he is." So let's all of us try in our meditation and also in our daily life, just to think, I'm a soul. I am a human being. I am a child of God. And to try to act in that way. How does a child of God act? We serve. We serve God. We serve God as His instruments. And we try to understand that it is God whom we are serving. Okay? And the form of God will take different shapes. We serve our husband, but as a form of God. And that's why in the marriage ceremony, with the malas, that you see the other as a divinity, and serve God in this person as being divine. And so when you're cooking, when you're cleaning the house, when you're talking and making plans, to try to elevate and to meet each other here, to meet each other on a higher plane, where you both recognize that you are children of God, that you are divine. Some people in a marriage, I've heard it many times, too many times, where someone will say, well, our relationship now has become like brother and sister, so we're going to get divorced, and look for something else, because it should be, a lover. And I think how sad. Because that's really so divine to see human relationships, not only with our husband or our wife, but with everyone. As Master said, to see the whole world as our brothers and sisters. He wrote that song, Brothers, Fratelli, that we can search all over the world. We can have different experiences. We can experience different cultures and different ways of eating and dressing. But underneath, we are all brothers and sisters. And to have that kind of relationship where we're born of the same parents, and to really feel that, and to live together in that way. We serve God in the form of children, and to be able to see, to be able to see, in the child, it's Balakrishna, it's Balaram, it's the divine in that. And in serving the child, we're serving God. But again, beyond the personality, we can come so much closer to God when we get beyond our own personalities. So many people who were with Master, they related to his personality. And the same thing, with Swamiji. He's like this and like that, and he's so creative and so forth. But the reality of our masters is so far beyond that. And the reality of who we are is so far beyond our personality. The personality is there. What can we do? We come with, but it's a mask. It's superficial. It's the way we act. But in deep meditation, we go beyond. We can just float in the infinite and lose contact with that personality and touch our true nature. So this is a funny thing perhaps to be saying to a satsang with women, which is, let's lose our identity as women and become more and more children of God. In a satsang with Swami many years ago, he remarked, I think it was a satsang with the brahmacharis and the brahmacharinis, and he said that Master said that the challenge of men is, the temptation for men is sex. And when they can overcome that, they can become great. The temptation for women is Maya. And that's harder. And so what does this mean? And he didn't explain it, and I've thought about it, over the years. It's that women tend to fan the flames of Maya. We kind of get into situations in a reactive way and make a big thing of little things and make big things of big things, okay? Make things out of it, And as Master said, all circumstances are neutral, They just are. And it is such a waste of energy and a waste of time and a waste of, an incarnation to just dive into, a situation and perpetuate it or make it worse or be emotional about it. And this is what the female temperament tends to do. We just want to get in there and, push things and, or else be drama queens about something. Swami used to talk about how dramatic the Italians are by nature, and of course they are, the operas and so forth. And so, normally Swami would perhaps be staying with a family, so you get up and you see each other at breakfast and you say to each other, so how did you sleep last night? And everybody says, fine. He said, but not in Italy. You say, oh, and how did you sleep? Oh, it was terrible. I couldn't close my eyes. I was just having these thoughts about our financial situation, and then they go on and on. And, just a simple, how did you sleep? Not so well. Okay, Pat, let's move on. Move on. Tonight you'll sleep better. It's okay. But women, we tend to do that. We tend to make more out of a situation. Master said that the purpose of this whole drama is to entertain and to educate. Okay? And that's how we want to look at things that happen in our lives. There are wonderful things that happen. There are tragic things that happen. And everything that happens to us is happening to us, meaning it is personal. Okay, and this is a place where we can be personal in this impersonal universe. If something happens to you, it's been sent to you for a purpose, either to educate or to entertain or both. And usually it's both. Okay? But when we react, with the chitta, yoga's chitta vritti nirod, this is where we all want to be. I'll be talking about that on Saturday and Sunday. But, this chitta, the reactive nature of feelings. Now, women are more prone, propensi, we're more prone, I can't find the right word in English, to feeling. And men are more prone to logic and reason and so forth. Now, feeling has two aspects to it. Okay? So one of them is emotion, okay? Where we emote. We put our movement outside of ourselves, external to ourselves, and we react. And these are the likes and the dislikes. And that's what binds us to Maya, where instead of saying things are as they are, we say, I don't want them to be this way. I'm disappointed. Your child comes home and he hasn't gotten the highest marks, and you say, I'm disappointed in you. What a pity. Why? Yeah, why be disappointed? Things are as they are. So the child hasn't had the highest marks. So what do you say? All right, let's dig in and see how we can do better next time, and motivate the child rather than I'm disappointed. I mean, what does it have to do with you? That's not the point. That's one of the 8 obstacles on the spiritual path, is missing the point. And women tend to miss the point a lot. Look at a situation which could have a cosmic meaning, and we see it like here. We pick it up from this little piece of it, So seeing the pieces of something and not seeing the whole picture. Now, this is not exclusive to women, but it is a tendency, okay, in that way. So when things happen, we need to let them happen. I mean, they're happening. What are you going to do? Stop it? Swami would often say, what comes of itself, let it come. Don't push it away. And when it does come, understand that it comes from God, it comes from Guru, and it comes to you, and it's for our benefit. It wouldn't come unless it was beneficial, because God is beneficent. God is on our side. God and Guru are working hard that we come closer to the light. And everything that happens in our life is an offering, is a gift from them. So we want to stop reacting to situations and do that first in small ways, little things. Go through your day and just look at the moments when you think, I am disappointed, or I wish it were other. And stop yourself and just say, no, it is what it is. And it has come to me from God. And I thank God for this situation. Remember when Swami was put out from SRF, and he couldn't even travel to India at that time because they blocked his visa. And so he wrote to Ananda Ma, and he got a message back from her, through her disciples. And Ma said to him, see this as a gift of your Guru, from your Guru. And Swami said he couldn't see it at the time. It was just so painful, and it was so blown, out of proportion. It had no sense to him at all. But that's what she said. See this as a gift from your Guru. And as we see now, in hindsight, what a great gift it was. We wouldn't be here. Thousands and thousands of people would not be on the spiritual path if that painful situation had not happened in Swami's life. So I'll tell you the story of how about 8 years ago, there was a difficult situation that happened to us at Ananda in Assisi. And that's when the police came and raided our center and our community, took things away, blocked all of our bank accounts, and eventually arrested 9 of us. They wanted to arrest 10, and the one they really wanted was Swami, but he was here with you. So Divine Mother kept him safe. And actually, he had intended to be in Italy at that time because we were having Master's Mahasamadhi. It was in the beginning of March. And Swami had moved here in November before, but he said, I promised to be at the Mahasamadhi and I will come back. I don't know if you remember this, that could be before your time. So he had intention to come, but one day he fell in the shower and he broke a rib. And you know how painful that can be, but that blocked him from coming. And so when they came to arrest Swami at his house, they tried to arrest Jyotish because Jyotish was staying at the house, Swami's house at that time. But anyway, it was quite an involved situation. So 9 of us were arrested. We were in jail for about 5 days. Then we were in house arrest. And the story went on for years. And when it happened, my first thought was, this is Guru's Leela. You know, he knows what he's doing. And there's something here. There's something. And I tried, very hard not to have any negative thoughts to the people who were responsible for that. It was actually only one person who was responsible for that. Just to have no negative, because I said, it's not about that person. It's not about what's happening. It's about something else. Guruji is making something happen, and this is the way to do it. And so we just accepted that. And of course we had to work with it. We had to, we got our lawyers, we made our everything. I mean, we did everything that we needed to do, but with the attitude that Guru knows what he's doing. There are no mistakes. And as it happened, through that whole process, people all over Italy and Europe got to know about Ananda. Master's picture was on the front page of papers, our Temple of Light, and just lots and lots of articles, all of them negative, and false, as journalism can be, highly false. But, after, it was over some years later, people go, oh, we heard about you, and they don't remember, how and what the situation was. But, oh, yeah, Ananda's famous, and we've been looking forward to coming. In fact, from that time, the work grew very, 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 very much. And even beyond that, it had so many benefits. It drew our community together because we had to work together, like you all did for your music concert, for your the walkathon. These are pleasant things that draw you together. So maybe you can avoid the crises. But working together as a team and dedicating, rededicating ourselves, to the spiritual path and what we're doing. Everybody needed to go deep inside and not, believe these false stories and so forth. And at the end, the judge said there's no basis for any of this, completely dismissed it, erased it from the books, and was a highly unusual thing. And he gave, in his written opinion, something that was extremely important and could only have happened in that particular situation, where he said that the Ananda movement in Italy qualifies for the protection of the Constitution of Italy, protection of freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of association. And that situation had nothing to do with it, except that that's what the prosecution focused on. They called us a false religion, a cult. They wanted to eliminate. Much of it was motivated by the church at that time. And, the judge said, these accusations have nothing to do with religion, but because the prosecution brought it up, he said, I will comment on it. And, it's wonderful. And we haven't been bothered since, So we never know the true purpose of things that happen to us in our life. And if we just come up and go over the appearances of what's happening, you have a disagreement with your child or with your husband. There's something else, there's something higher, to come to a higher level of harmony, of cooperation. And this also happens as the result of regular deep meditation. because in meditation, we detach ourselves from our personality, from our identities, and we begin, just as we do in the Hong Sa technique, we begin just to watch the breath of life. You know, the waves of life as they come to us, and get into the flow and go with that flow. And then we learn. You know, we are educated and we are entertained. So we want to step away from being the drama queens, you know, of making every situation a drama. And we have an expression in English, making a mountain out of a molehill. You don't have that expression? You do? You do. Okay. So, you know, there are these little bumps, you know, in life. And we don't want to make them into these mountains of emotion. Now, chitta also means feeling. It can be pure feeling love, joy, expansion, connection, unity. There are, in the heart, there are these feelings. And when we feel that in meditation, we want to raise it up, offer it to the spiritual eye, rather than thinking, oh, this is my experience. 100% of the time, when you have a lovely experience in meditation and the ego gets in and says, oh, you know, this is mine, came to me, I'm special, you know, I've done it, just disappears. And sometimes it's a long time before it comes back again. So when we feel, you know, just even a little bit of joy, a little touch of inner peace, we just bring it up and offer it with gratitude, saying, thank you, Guruji, thank you, God, this belongs to you. And then it comes back, many-fold, greater and stronger. Okay? And this is what we want to. And as women, we are more propenso, we are more likely by nature to have these experiences. But then what do we do with them? Okay? And again, to get beyond the personal and see it as a gift from God, to be grateful for, to offer it back. It's prasad from God, we give it back to God as our offering. So as women, we want to move in our lives from the personal to the impersonal, to begin to see ourselves, our loved ones, and the situations in our life in a more detached and impersonal way. And understanding, as I said, it's a little bit ironic. The things that come to us are personal in the sense that they are individual. It's our own. What comes to us is ours. You know, it's our karma. And we don't try to put the blame on somebody else. You know, it's your fault, or it's the government's fault, or it's the center's fault, or whatever. No. What comes to us, it's signed, you know, by Guru. And then to see these things in a higher way, in a broader context. And that's why touching superconsciousness in our meditation is so important. Because in superconsciousness, we begin to perceive the big picture. We see ourselves, you know, in terms of our long journey of evolution. We begin to see ourselves as needing to learn certain things and experience certain things so that we can get beyond the personal to the impersonal. So, from my point of view, these are our duties. as women. And when we're able to do these things, then we're able to function much more effectively in our lives, in the roles that we have, because we understand that the roles are not who we are. They're only means of expressing who we truly are, which is children of God. So let's think of unity, not equality, and let come what comes, and see in everything how God is teaching us and how God is entertaining us. Okay? We are here to enjoy this Leela, and we can do so. So this today is my message for you, and we have time now for questions. And let's see, how is our video doing? It's doing well, yes?
We have 15 minutes to go.
We have 15 minutes. So why don't we take 15 minutes, and I'm happy to entertain questions and entertain you if I can.
I wanted to say something more than a question.
Yes.
Maybe it's in a broader perspective. Since many years, ladies are not so much in spirituality or in any other field. They are coming forward now. But as we have some history, that some ladies were very well versed in scriptures,
Yes.
and they were very foremost in
Yes.
meditation and
Yeah.
spiritual practices.
There were even women rishis
women rishis.
in
Yes.
Vedic
They were-
times.
But they were always very few in numbers.
Very few.
Very few. So is it that the ladies have to discharge their duties first, and then simultaneously it is difficult for, it is the history. For thousands of years or maybe hundreds of years is that way. Now it is little bit changing. The
Mhm.
ladies are coming in many fields. But is it something fundamentally different? And it is bound to be by nature so. So it is that way. And that is the garb the ladies hold on to, and they take that garb and say that we are not coming forward. That is the excuse, or that is the real situation?
Well, I think we're all men, women, we are hypnotized. And we're hypnotized by Maya and by duality. Okay? So that's what we perceive, is duality and this difference. It was not this way in Vedic times. Okay? The women were equal. There were women rishis. The women had equal everything, access to education and so forth, and professional life. And so it's more recent history rather than ancient history. And remember that life and consciousness is cyclic, okay, with the yugas. So think about Satya Yuga. I mean, we have no idea what it was like, but I can imagine that there was total equality in that age, And then, so what is our experience? What we consider to be history is what? Is Kali Yuga. Okay. And so we're hypnotized by Maya, by duality, by things that are material. And now we're coming out of that. Okay? And it's a struggle, but we're moving again towards complete equality. People would ask, Swami, what he felt about it. And he said, just look at the leaders, of Ananda. Men and women, it doesn't, there's no distinction. Married, single, brahmachari, children, whatever. And you can see, Ananda is the new world. It is the new direction where there just is no distinction. And all of us are able to discharge our duties. Men have their duties, women have their duties, and not see it as being separate from the spiritual path. I mean, disciples of Lahiri Mahashaya up in northern India, they discharge, the men and the women, they have Kriya Yoga, they discharge their duties and they meditate for hours. Okay. So we're just at the beginning of this new age. But Ananda, Swami's awareness, Master's awareness, is really, in a sense, the cutting edge. Okay? And we're here to help that go along and not fall into roles, you know. And it's so nice to see. I mean, in India, there's, women everywhere, isn't there? Even in politics, you know, and doctors and judges and so forth, and in spirituality. In fact, in spirituality, there are more women than men coming. Now, somebody asked Swami, you know, why are all of our avatars, you know, men? And I believe he said that the men have a greater chance of finding God, for the reason that I said, being that when they can harness the sex power, the kundalini, they can use that for self-realization, whereas as women dissipate our power in many things, you know, in Maya, you know, our energy is just in so many things. And we need to harness that. And we have Kriya Yoga. Okay? And that's what Kriya Yoga is about. It's about awakening the Mahashakti that's in us, in the Kundalini, and bringing that up. Okay? And nowadays we're seeing many women saints. Huh? They're out there. Yes, you know. Nanda Moima, you know, was, you know, the first, but there are so many. Sri Aurobindo's the Mayor, Swami Rama's Krishnabai, and, you know, nowadays there's so many. So it's a much improved atmosphere.
I like that term you used, Ananda is the new world, image of new world. That's
Yeah.
revelation.
And that's what we're creating. I mean, the things that perhaps we are beginning to take for granted are very important things. They're really new. They're cutting edge. They're opening up dimensions of consciousness and awareness.
Yes, in Ananda we can see that women are more in number and they are also
Together,
working together.
exactly.
Yeah.
Working together, cooperating together as souls, you know, and whoever has the talent, you know, offers the talent. Right. Yes, Prisha.
When you look at the various marriages that didn't work out, and this could be within Ananda or outside,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think the women in particular could have done differently that would have made it work?
I don't know, because of course I'm not intimate with those situations. Of course, I've lived through them with people and so forth. So I can't respond to that. But what I can respond to is what makes my marriage work, because that's what I know about. And what Arjuna and I have been married for 44 years, and our marriage is based on love of Guru, you know, love of God, service to Ananda, and respect, and also of growing together, you know, doing things together, just being in it all together. We have different roles, you know, different things that we do, but we do it together, you know. We're always talking about it and so forth. But just a lot of respect. That's the main thing, huge. I remember when Swami suggested that we get married, and I said to him, "But Swami, I don't love him." And and Swami said, "That's not important." He said, "Do you respect him?" I said, "Oh, yes, he's a wonderful." He said, "That's all you need, love will come." And it did. I mean, I adore Arjuna. I think he's the greatest person on earth. And I mean, he is. Those of you who know him might agree. And that's it. I mean, that's how I always think of him, And, I never say, you're like this or like that, you always do this. I always say, no, just total respect and total freedom, and doing things together. So we don't make mountains out of molehills, In fact, we've never had an argument. We've never had an argument. We always have a difference of opinion. Almost always. Different approach, things, different way of seeing, something. Like if I'm doing Sunday service and he'll come in and say, "Oh, what's the subject?" And I'll say what the subject is, what do you think? And then he'll just talk and give me a whole different perspective than I would ever have thought of. And wow, that's great. Why don't you come and talk about it? But anyway, so I know that one woman said to me that her marriage at Ananda, her marriage broke up over a pillow. Over a pillow. Yeah, of who could have the good pillow, to sleep on. I mean, they just really little things. I always tell the story, a very true story, about the first day that Arjuna and I were married. And he had fixed up this old animal. I mean, this was the beginning of Ananda. And so there was an animal stalls, and he fixed it up, and we had a little home there, and he bought things, and it was really nice. So anyway, so we get up in the morning, and I go to brush my teeth. We didn't have a bathroom inside, so I went to the kitchen. Anyway, so, I pick it up, and he had bought a new tube of toothpaste, and he had brushed his teeth first, and I picked it up, and he had squeezed it in the middle. And I thought, this is, we don't, let's get this straight right from the beginning. And so, you do it from the bottom, really slowly up, and you turn it up. This is the law of the toothpaste tube. So I picked up the tube, and I was going into the bedroom to inform him about the law of the toothpaste tube. And suddenly, I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I mean, literally. And my feet were just frozen. And then I heard Master saying in my mind, "In what scripture do you find this law?" And so I just stopped and I said, not in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's not in the Ramayana, it's not in the Quran, it's not there. So I just turned around, put it back, went to town, bought another tube of toothpaste. He has his tube, I have my tube. He can squeeze it wherever he wants to. And if we travel together and we happen to share, a toothpaste tube, I'll squeeze it in the middle.
Break the law.
Yeah. Out of respect. Why? This is it. Why make a mountain out of it? Why make a big thing out of it? And that's what happens. I mean, love is easy. Love is, up and down. I mean, think of our connection with Guru or of God. I mean, is it always like this? There are moments. There are moments when, we're mad or we don't want to know about it. And it's the same thing in human relationships. And so, the basis, you know, is also, if people ask Arjuna, what's the secret of your marriage? He often will answer, having fun together. And that's important, having fun together. Just doing things, going out, walking, seeing things, learning things. And anyway, those are the secrets of my marriage, and for the others, I don't know. You know, karma plays, obviously, you know, a big part in, we're all here to learn something, and it can be learned depending on your karma through situations of conflict, of disaccord, and so forth. That just is not our karma. It's not my karma. We went to a psychic when we got married. She's still alive, and she does a lot of readings for people. And she told each of us separately that we'd been married for something like 63 consecutive incarnations to each other. And she said, and you have, you know, there's nothing that you need to work out. Okay, now, not everybody has that karma. Mm-hmm. So there are times when we need to learn and grow through conflict in the home situation. Okay? Other times it's in the work situation.